Your next act, he helps me run this room, helps produce it, is the reason why we do this room. Guys, please give it up for the wonderfully talented George Hamilton Braithwaite.
Keep it going for Chris Dulgar, everybody. That's right. I've had too much International Women's Day candy. I'm going to be sick up here, so I'll keep it a short set. My career has been, I was looking at some news today about Fukushima, the crippled nuclear power plant in Japan, which is, it's gone much like my career, kind of like the slowest natural disaster ever. This is do you know it's still on fire right now? It's smoldering on fire. They have not been able to get into it. They keep on putting water on it to keep it from completely melting down. It's the world's worst water park ever because it's a radioactive water park, and it's still going. I think it's fascinating that we really kind of we have a 3-week news cycle and we've kind of just ignored plutonium going into the Pacific Ocean for the past 3. It's just okay. Just mind the tuna. That's all, everybody. Mind the tuna. Chris had his joke at the beginning about about nationalities, and I always have that problem because when I tell people where I'm from, people don't even believe me. My parents, and I was born in England, and people don't want to hear that. It's like, why are you black? You know, just similar to his joke. And then it's like when I say both my parents were born in British Guyana, their first thing is like, oh, you mean Ghana? And I'm like, no, Guyana. And they're like, Guinea? And I'm like, no, and I start saying, like they're foreigners, like slower and louder, Guyana. And they're like, what? And I'm like, Venezuela, Brazil, Suriname, Caribbean Ocean. The last time I did that, and they were like, I haven't heard of it. And they seem really disappointed, like you disappoint them, because you're not from a place that they've heard of before. It's a really frustrating experience. You want to just get to the story of where they're from. ISIS. No one's liked them this week because they started blowing up Antiquities this week, which is that's usually a slippery slope. That's usually 2 years away from okay, these guys are fucking over. When it's once the Taliban started blowing up the Buddhas, that was near the end. But now it's no one likes that. No one likes it when you start destroying antiquities, when you start destroying art. It just offends everyone because it's we would have stolen that from your country. That's usually we invade your country just to steal these riches. Have you come to the National Museum in England? It's just full of stuff that they've stolen from around the world. We got all the good parts of the Parthenon right here because those goddamn Greeks couldn't take care of it. We took it and preserved it in England. We already stole most of Iraq during the first 2 invasions under the Bushes, but now, you can't be destroying that because there's still people who would steal it. Acknowledge that. Going up quickly. We're gonna do that. Bobbi Kristina. Is still in a coma, ladies and gentlemen. You're right. She's going for the new celebrity record coma. Michael Schumacher is ahead of her by a year. Michael Schumacher has a big lead on Bobbi Kristina. We don't know who's going to pull this one off. That one is sponsored by Ferrari. There's no losers, ladies and gentlemen, in this coma. He went into a coma. Ferrari said we're going to do whatever we can take, and he's still in a coma. They have a team of 12 people moving him around every day. They probably strap him in a race car because he's going back in. If he comes, it's like the worst version of Weekend at Bernie's ever. But it's Lifetime at Michael's, ladies and gentlemen. The only person who could top this is perhaps Bobby Brown with Bobbi Kristina. And more incompetent man with a shitload of money. They can't be anyone more than Bobby Brown. He is supposedly starting a reality TV show. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just like an angry black mother. He said, yeah. Don't like that Bobby Brown. My mother is still mad about Whitney Houston. Still to this day, she's like that fucking Bobby Brown. Took her Whitney. Took Bobbi Kristina. And they announced it. This is like the Black Princess Di story. No one. I love that white people aren't following it, but it's in like the Inquirer every day right now. Like they had a reenacting. They think the boyfriend might have choked her and threw her in the back. Yeah, I love that. His tan is so dark. He is black, ladies and gentlemen. He's following all the news. I might do my Nicki Minaj joke next. Are you ready? You're with me. But actually, I'll move on. I was, and I realized it wasn't worth Best Picture. I watched Selma today. But what pissed me off, though, about that was there's a story this week, and they were building this new hospital, and like this new big super hospital. And the head of the hospital, because a minister at one point tried to interfere with who's going to be nominated the head of surgery, the head of the hospital, the CEO, quit. And then the head of the board of directors quit. And they both said, we're quitting out of protest because of like political interference. And it's just like, and everyone's taking this seriously. Like, since when is fucking quitting a protest? You know, a hunger strike is a protest. Like riding your bike every day in the winter to work would be a protest. And if you did that and say, because the minister interfered, I'm riding my bike every day through the snow, and then everyone would be like, look at that fucking CEO riding his bike in the snow. That motherfucker's awesome. That minister sucks. Get rid of him, and he'd be awesome. But no, he quit. Taking the departure bonus of a 3-figure departure bonus and locking in his pension right now before they change that. That was his idea of protesting. It's just like, fuck you, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I just think that's why we needed Selma. I'm like, hit in the head. Take a couple fucking stitches, ladies and gentlemen. That's a protest. What you're doing there is bullshit, motherfuckers. Whew, I got that out. Thank you. That way I won't have to be angry. I don't have to do that angry white person joke at the end now. See, about Birdman and why this was the worst Oscar season ever. I'm doing it ever. It was just like brilliant white men have problems too. It's like, oh, I'm a super successful actor and my daughter hates me and I'm successful in the end. Birdman, like, really? This is an inspirational story? And everyone, the Imitation Game, it was just brilliant. It's like, it really is. This is the end of white people. That's why it is. And they had to say that there are no black people in the Oscars. They put Selma in, and then everyone made jokes about no black people being in the Oscars, which I don't get. Because like black people have been winning Oscars for no decent reason since Training Day. Like that was the first non-deserved actor that we got. We've been getting undeserved Best Actor awards for the past decade. All of a sudden, 1 year Selma doesn't get it, and we're like, I didn't even get the joke. It wasn't even a joke. What was the joke was like all these like tortured fucking, and like I don't know. I had to spoil the end of Birdman, but at the end, his daughter looks up at the end. He's like, oh, he is a superstar. I'm like, what fucking bullshit is this? Like, no wonder the Academy voted for that, because it just jerked off every guy who was in the Academy. That's exactly what they want to do, is get their fucking daughters who think they're bullshit to like them again, and that's, Birdman did it for them. The only reason I could think that 12 Years a Slave won anything was because they say that really, like, you know, the Academy, they don't vote for it. It's usually their maids. It's usually they don't give a shit, and they give it to their maids and their housekeepers, and those are the people really voting for the Oscars, and that's why 12 Years a Slave won, because it actually had resonance with the people who voted, which is the housekeepers of the 1%. That's my time. I'm George Breaker. Take care.
One more time for George Hamilton. Braithwaite, guys.